I am completely excited, my friends, because I just got my hands on a Kurzweil KSP8, a very obscure effects unit which should sound absolutely amazing. So does it live up to this very small cult status of being a true work of art? Let's find out. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to St. Luminous. I'm so glad you're here with me today to talk about the Kurzweil KSP8. A real quick review of its history, because I did a previous video on the Kurzweil Rumor, and the Kurzweil KSP8 is the big granddaddy. That was the big beast of an effects processor, and Kurzweil made two smaller little child units, the Kurzweil Rumor and then the Kurzweil Mangler. So I've got the KSP8, and I sent an email to a friend of mine that I trust that really knows these effects processors, because he programmed some very infamous algorithms, really knows his stuff. So I sent him an email about this, and this is what he responded with. He said that KSP8 is a piece of magic and awe. Another thing he said is that it makes you have to work and learn a lot of stuff with the unit, but if you do, you'll be rewarded with unique sounds and wonders. He said that the unit gathers a lot of work from some of the best minds in the music industry. The KSP8 is golden. First of all, this Kurzweil KSP8 is so massive, not only in size, it's a big unit, but on what it can do, it is crazy. It really is a beast of an effects processor. So it is so massive that I'm just going to go through the presets. In this video, I'm only going to go through Reverb presets and talk about them a little bit, because just that is going to be a long enough video. So let's look at Reverb, talk a little bit about Reverb, and maybe even change some of your minds on what you think a good Reverb should be doing and how to use Reverb. So we're going to learn a little bit about this unit and learn about Reverb. So what I'm going to do in this is split it up, the reverbs, into different types. We're going to start with rooms. And this preset here is called Small Studio Room. I'm not going to tweak this preset because it's going to take forever for me to tweak this, change that, listen to this, listen to that. It's going to be an hours-long video if I did that. Let's just listen to this Small Studio Room. Okay, wonderful sounding room, in my opinion. I like that sound. It does sound like a really nice studio space. You got to be careful with something like a room reverb, especially if you're going to do this at home and you're going to play a room reverb. Remember, you're playing in a room. So if you've got an amp in the room sound, you've got a small amp, you're listening to the sound of that amp in your room. If you add an effect like this coming through your amp, you're listening to the sound of that room inside your room. So, right, it gets a little wonky. It gets a little weird. It's one reason why I'm wearing the headphones. I'm trying to eliminate the sounds of this room to try and really listen to the effect here, the Small Studio Room. And it does work a little bit because this does not sound like my actual room. So it's got a small studio room. It makes me want to play, and that's what's important. Let's move on to the next room sound. This one is called a large room. Let's hear it. Okay, a much bigger space. Again, very inspiring for me to play through. I like this sound. It makes me want to play. It inspires me to play. And again, these room sounds are kind of weird because you gotta kind of have your guitar sound isolated enough so you can actually hear what this room sounds like, the Kurzweil KSP8 room sounds like. Both these room sounds, I like them a lot. I would use them even just to practice through headphones. These would be a wonderful sound. Next are chambers. So this is the next group. There's a couple of chamber presets I want to go through because I discovered something really interesting with these chamber reverbs. Chamber reverbs, by the way, if I understand correctly, are mostly geared toward classical instruments, right? Playing a chamber, violins, cellos, maybe a saxophone, a trumpet. They're going to be much bigger spaces, of course, in the room reverb. So let's listen to my guitar playing in this preset called Classical Chamber. Also let you know, yeah, it's probably geared toward classical instruments. But let's hear it with my electric guitar. I normally don't use chambers, but I will say I like that chamber sound. I could be stuck with that for hours playing all sorts of things. It would work for me. Here's what I found interesting. The next chamber preset, they call it In the Studio. And in the studio, it did something with my guitar sound. So let me play that In the Studio really quick for you. Okay, I felt that it changed my guitar tone just a little bit. So I'm going to go back to that classical chamber and then go to In Studio. I'm going to play the same lick. See if you can tell a difference in my guitar tone. Okay, classical chamber. Here's classical chamber. In the studio preset. Can hear it there on YouTube because YouTube does some funny things with audio. But what I'm hearing is that the tone of my guitar is a little different depending on which reverb. The classical chamber gives me a nice sound. Then suddenly when I go to this In the Studio preset, my guitar sound seems to be a little warmer. And I find this just fascinating and probably a clue to reverb, that the type of reverb, how you program the reverb, makes a difference in your guitar sound. You wouldn't think so, but it kind of does. So I felt this changed my guitar tone just a little bit in a good way. I liked both of them, but this is fascinating to hear. Let's move on to the next reverb. Hall reverbs. I typically use hall. If I'm going to be by myself playing, I will use a hall reverb. I love the sound of a good hall. So this one, this preset is called Bob's Diffuse Hall. So let's listen to Bob's Diffuse Hall. Yeah, wonderful sounding hall. Again, I can get lost in this, play for hours. So that automatically tells me a good sound. Now remember, all these presets, I have not tweaked them. These are the factory presets. And the fact that I don't have to tweak them and they already sound good really says something. Now, would I tweak them? Sure, of course. I would tweak them to get them to sound even better with the little bit I know about reverbs. But right off the bat, these already sound killer. So Bob's Diffuse Hall. The next one is called Pipes Hall. The one thing with the Pipes Hall is that it's got such a long tail in the reverb. It kind of forces you to play more sparse and much more emotional. Now watch what happens. I mean, it's just a great sound, but watch what happens if I just shred through it, how it just doesn't work. It's going to make it all into a big mess. It's not like it sounds horrible, but it just gets to be a mess of sounds. So this Pipes Hall, clearly it's meant for maybe organ or bagpipes. But really more of a kind of a synthesizer pad sound or something very slow and more emotional, if you will, like this. You know, these kinds of sounds. Let's look at the next hall preset. This one is called My Dreamy 481. a dreamy, dreamy place to be in. I can get lost in this for hours. That's a beautiful sound of reverb. And again, that's without me going in and tweaking in the parameters. I certainly would play around with that to dial it into something even better than what it is. But just right off the bat from the factory, it's already a space that I want to be in. It doesn't even sound like a real space, by the way. It really doesn't. That's what I love. Reverb that makes you feel like you're in some space, even if it's not a real space. But it's sure as hell a space that I want to be in and play. Absolutely inspiring. Let's move on to the next type of reverb. The preset is called Dream Verb, and Kurzweil just says this type of reverb is XL, so I'm guessing it's extra large. Let's hear it. Yeah, okay, you see how long I waited there for the tail of the reverb to die down. Wow, that is a massive space. That's even dreamier than the 481 reverb we just listened to. Holy hell. Again, it's something I can get lost in for hours, but you gotta do it right. You can't shred through this, so let me shred through it. It's gonna be a mess. I'm already gonna tell you, it's gonna be a mess. If I just shred through it and I don't think about the reverb, I'm just like, oh, let me play as many notes as possible. Damn, that is just an absolute nightmare. It's a mess. So with these kind of verbs, you gotta play in a way that really accentuates that verb. And actually, it should force you to change your playing. This one, yeah, I'd really make it an ambient sort of guitar sound. It would work wonderfully in this type of verb. Let's look at the next reverb. This is a Kurzweil exclusive. It's called Laser Verb. Now, maybe I'll do another video about Laser Verb, but this is something that I gotta say, it's a sound I've never really heard before in a reverb. Yeah, with all those fancy pedals that are out there nowadays, I can say I've never heard this. Check it out. I'm not even gonna play a note. I'm just gonna give a little thwack to my guitar, and you'll hear this Laser Verb sound. Right, it's all these, it's sort of like these echoes, sort of like, or these impulses that just repeat and have some sort of filtering to it, and it just kind of almost spreads around from left to right. So it pans a little bit. Really crazy sound of reverb. So now I'm going to try to play some music, some licks, some chords. Let's hear this Laser Verb in action playing through it, because this is trippy. But let's hear it in action. Yeah, so it's very subtle. Now those little impulses that kind of, if I can do it correctly with my mouth, it's a little more subtle in there when I'm playing through it. I can kind of hear it. It's sort of this texture that's very subtle. I'll be honest, I don't know how much I would use Laser Verb, this Laser Verb, and I wouldn't go as far as to say it just inspires me to play for hours. It's more, this sound is tripping me out. Like, that is just so unusual, really in a fun way. Let's look at the next Laser Verb. Kurzweil calls this preset Laser Waves. Let's hear it. Let's do the thwack. Okay, that's even weirder than the other laser verb, these laser waves. Here, there's some sort of resonant filter or something on those little impulses as they start panning across left to right. Let me play through it. Let me try to use it in a musical sense. Yeah, that one was a little more interesting than the other laser verb. Just truly, again, a sound that you just don't hear. Yeah, I got to give it to Kurzweil. It's something that is very exclusive to them because I haven't heard any other effects processors do that particular sound. Now, whether you like that sound and can play through it for hours and it inspires you, that's a very different sound. But I got to give it to Kurzweil. That is very unique. And I bet if I go in there and start tweaking some of these parameters, I could probably get that little laser verb part to really stand out and mix with my guitar playing. So keep in mind that these little laser verbs, as interesting as they are, I haven't tweaked the preset. And I don't know how that laser verb sounds on a vocal, or that would be interesting, a vocal or keys, a synth. So I don't know. This is purely on guitar. The last reverb preset I want to share with you. This is just called reverb with delay, so I have an expectation of how this is going to sound. Basically, some sort of reverb, I don't know which one, and some delay mixed in. So let's just go ahead and play through it. Yeah, kind of a cool sound. I'm going to try something because I don't think I would play a lead guitar through there. So I'm going to try a cleaner sound through it and do some more chord stuff, without the pick. Let's hear it. Okay, a little bit more of a clean sound there, and that works. It wouldn't be my preferred sound for playing chordal stuff like that, but it worked. And again, I haven't tweaked the preset at all to make it work a little better for my application, but still a very nice sounding reverb. So, my friends, there are just the reverbs in the Kurzweil KSP8. What do you think? Let me know in the comments how these reverbs sounded to you. Was it something that you liked? I will give you my opinion on this. These reverbs are probably some of the best that I have. I also have a PCM81, which has some gorgeous reverbs in it. And these reverbs from the KSP8, I will have to say, at least for now, it's either as good as the PCM81, maybe a little bit better than the reverbs in the PCM81s. Now, I'm just talking about reverbs because the PCM81 is still a very powerful unit. It has actual pitch shifting in it, which the KSP8 does not. But that's going to be a different video. Strictly talking reverbs, it's as good as the Lexicon PCM81. To me, maybe a little bit better. And this is just the presets. I have not touched the presets, but I will tell you these reverbs sound incredible. They are inspiring to play through, no matter whether it was chambers or rooms or halls. They just put me in a space that I wanted to be in. Even with reverbs that didn't sound like a real space, I felt like I needed to be in that space, and I didn't mind being in there playing for hours if I wanted to. Thank you so much, you guys. Let me know in the comments how you felt about the reverbs and the sound of the Kurzweil KSP8. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, do it right now. Do it right now. I'd love to have you along for the ride for another Kurzweil KSP8 videos and some other videos about gear, guitar playing, and music. Thanks so much, you guys. We'll see you real soon.